everyone, it's Laura from Laura's Handcrafted Treats and Treasures. Welcome to or back to my channel. Today I'm on here with something a little different. I'm going to be using some papers from Carolyn's Musings. She is on YouTube. She has an Etsy shop, Ko-fi, and she's one way on Facebook. I will link everything in the description box below. This collection I'm using is Comforting Grace. It's a whole kit, but I just decided to take some elements of it because I want to make some sympathy cards. So these were just a few of the pictures that I picked out, as well as 4 others. And what you do is you pick out the 4 that you want. And then when you left click, at least for me, I have a Windows 10, I left click and then I go to print. I print, this was the 3.5 by 5, I think it was. You can do a 5 by 7, which would give 2 to a page. You can do 4 by 6s, but I did 3 to a page. So when you cut them down, they look like this. Now, the only thing with that, I will say, is it will give you a really, really big border, which I'm okay with. I don't mind that. But if you do not like that really big border, you can always go ahead and print out 1 full sheet. And I thought this would still be nice. I can cut it into 4s. And then I would cut this, because my mat would be 4 by 5 1/4. I would cut this down to 3 3/4 by 5. So I'd cut each panel from that. Then I would get a nicer border. So I'm just going to cut this side and we'll show you. Before I go on to do that, these came in the kit as well. It's a journal kit, and I believe this is supposed to be a waterfall. But I'm just going to cut them out so that I can put them on the front of my cards. Also, in my computer, I have all of my sentiments that I've just done myself. I do stamping if I'm just doing one, but if I'm mass producing, I like to just print all these out and then I just have them at the ready. So I have those all ready to go. So let me show you what I'm talking about, which if you make cards, you know, and we'll go over the dimensions. If you don't make cards, this might be a little helpful video. You do not have to use scrapbook paper. I mean digitals. You can use scrapbook paper. There's lots of other things that you can use to make cards. I'm just focusing on Carolyn's Musings today. She has a lot of beautiful new kits out, so may I recommend going over to her Ko-fi shop or her, her Etsy shop, either one. I think most of her main kits are on her Etsy shop. And yeah, have a browse. She's got some summer ones coming out. I've done a lot of her Christmas ones I used. And when I do, I'm hoping to do Christmas in July. So if you're not nope, Christmas is too soon for me, I can't do it person, totally get it. But it helps me get a jump on my fall craft shows. Okay, so again, because my mat for my card, which you will see, is 5 1/4 by 4. I'm going to cut this, the long side, at 5. And then I'm going to cut this side because I want this bottom at 3 3/4. I'm going to turn this around. Let me just make sure I got the right. Yeah, I do. I'm going to turn this around so I can capture the top of that page at 3 3/4. So with what I've already done and with cutting these, I have enough probably, other than the sentiments, to make, let's see, 12 cards. And they don't, I may not make them all sympathy cards. I might just do some thinking of you or birthday. Oh, no, I did that right. I was talking, but I need to take this off. I meant to do this part first. So let's see. I always gotta think about it. Back to 5, which I could have just done the whole thing. This one is gonna be 5. So when I picked out this paper to show you it this way, I just picked out a general one, thinking about when I'm cutting it down, I'm not going to lose a lot of like pictures. Like this one, for instance, I wanted that whole picture, but if I'd have made it big, this would have only ended up in a corner, and I just wouldn't have got as much out of it. Anyhow, let's move on from there. So now you see what I'm talking about when you want to mat your pieces. Now your mat is not quite as wide as when you've used this one. So I'm gonna use all of them. I went ahead already and I inked up all the edges with Vintage Photo because I do not like raw edges. So I got all that done. And if you are new to card making, you're going to have, at least in the States, you are going to have a 11 by 8.5 sheet of paper. So depending on which way you slice that, this is my 11, and I sliced it at 5.5 and then scored at 4.25. Now, if I wanted long cards, I wanted cards that would flip up like this, I would cut this at 8.25. Well, I guess I better get that down in frame. I would cut this by 8.25, and then I would score my long piece down here, because now I have 2 long ones, at 5.5. That would give me a long flip. So you get a card that either, for this particular one, it's either going to open this way and sit up like this, or it's going to do this way. And your long cards will do the same. All right, so I've gotten these ready to go, and I've kind of fiddled with it a little bit to see what sort of style I liked. So I liked that together, that together. I'm going to put another mat in the center, and then I'll put my sentiment in the center of that. Okay, so what should your mat be? So if you want to mat your card before you put your graphic in, your mat should be 5.25, because this is 5.5. Let me double check that. Yeah, 5.25, and then this should be at 4. So it's basically you're taking off 1/4 inch from each side. That way you have a nice little mat. Some people do the 1/16 of an inch, but I can't, no, that's okay. And then of course, if you're just cutting if you're doing photo a page, just cut it out as the picture shows. And then if you are cutting it out, now what did I do with them? From the paper that I just showed you, here they are. Then of course you're gonna go down again 1/4 inch on each side. So that is gonna be 5 at 3 3/4. And then you get your matting. So I'm going to go ahead and I think I'll do this one first. And I liked this brown. So the paper I'm using, it's a heavyweight paper. I don't know the poundage, but I get my paper, my cardstock paper from Stampin' Up. I just think they have the best paper I've ever come across. It's sturdy, and it's just a heavier weight, makes a nice card. If you use too flimsy of a copy paper, you just don't get a nice weight. So I think like it should be like 200 and some 50 GSM, which I don't know what that breaks down to, but what I've heard other people talk about. This is also from Stampin' Up, so they have an array of colors. I don't remember which one this was. I don't remember all of the colors because I've had them in my stash for a while. And then, of course, we have our cut aparts or our cut pieces from Carolyn's Musings. So I am going to put, let's see. I like the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. I like them all. They'll all get used and they'll all get cut out. But I'm not going to use my cutter to do this. I'm just going to cut them. I'm just going to cut them by hand. And then, of course, we don't need this because that would be where you would score it and fold it over for a waterfall. I'm just going to cut that away. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and see, that's going to look nice just right there. But I am going to go ahead and ink it up. I am going to be doing Let's Make a Card series pretty soon. I'm almost ready to do that. Okay, so what I like, I'm going to show you how I layer my stuff. I start with my outside first, then I go ahead to my inside. I don't know why, it's just the way my brain works. I feel like if I mess this up, at least I haven't put this down and I can start over if needs be. So I use art glitter glue and I like to flatten this out because I want to be able to see my crease, and I try to line it up also with my mat because that sort of helps me center it when I get ready to put it down. Because I use art glitter glue, as I have said, and when the art glitter glue is down, it's down. It's hard to get back up and reposition. So I'm just going to get my corners real well and along the edges, and then you don't need a whole lot. It might look like I'm putting a lot on, but they have a fine tip needle and I'm not putting that much on. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start to put this corner in over here, and I'm going to hold it, and then that way I can move it slightly one way or the other before I commit. So that looks good. It's wonky a little bit this way, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm looking at it from a different angle, so sometimes this is where it's like, nope, it's probably not going to come up. Normally I would stand up and look down on it. So then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with this one. Did I ink my edges? That doesn't look inked. I think I started to, but I didn't finish it. Okay, I do a lot of standing when I'm crafting. I don't like to sit all the time, and the table that I'm using, it cranks up or down, so it brings it up to my level. Got it from Home Depot years ago on sale because it was a floor model, and I think it had a little chip somewhere. But when I'm filming, I can't crank it up because then my camera's not tall enough what I have my camera sitting on. So, okay. Let's see if that, okay, that looks good. Okay, happy with that. And then now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for the inside. And this one's a pretty simple, just throw together card, but it's really the graphics that's going to make it look beautiful. Don't have to do much work. I've done other cards that are much more extensive, a lot more embellishing, but these are just really quick, simple. I like to have them on hand Sometimes I can make them up real quick, but sometimes they're just nice to have on hand. Okay, I'm not gonna push that down yet. All right, got that one. And then these usually aren't super exact because I've tried to measure them within my program, so that when I cut off the black line that shows me where to cut, that I end up with that measurement that I want. But I'm never too concerned if they're super, you know, perfect. And I make these kind of big. I make the words in here kind of big. Don't leave a whole lot of room for writing, although I suppose you could write up here. Because for me, it's, what do you say? You know, someone loses someone, and I think the card says enough. And sometimes just sending the card just to let someone know you are thinking about them, you have prayed for them, it is enough. So I think what I might want to do with this one, I think I want to actually put a bigger border around that. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do that real quick, and I'll be back. Okay, so I have the border on, and I think this is just going to look nice right up here, but I do want to put some foam tape. Now, I get this at the Dollar Tree. I've mentioned this before here in the States, and it is in their automotive section. If I have a packet, I'll grab the package and show you what it looks like. But I use these all the time, and it lasts forever. Well, it just depends on how, you know, I mean, I use 5. Might be a little overboard, but it definitely well worth it for $1.25. You know, 31 with tax, 32, something like that. It's still well worth it, rather than the craft stores. All right, so I'm gonna bring this from my angle to make sure I kind of got it. Looks like I need to come over just a little bit. Okay. And there we go. And it's that simple. Don't worry about the foam. It will go through the mailbox. I've mailed this type of thing before, but there you go. You have some simple cards. So I'm going to go ahead and make the rest of these, and then I'll come back with a quick flip through. So I'm prepping to do the cards, and I thought, well, maybe I would just bring you back for this part. So I had to go cut some more bases. I think I want to do a couple of them in the black. We'll see how those look. But this is what I was talking about. If you've never made cards before, this is your 11 by 8.5. I've done 2 of, well, and you'll get 2 cards out of that, so I've got those. But this is your 11 by 8.5. So if you cut it at 4 1/4, then you're going to make a fold up card. And so you would put this in your scoreboard. Because this is 11, you want to do this at 5 1/2 or fold at 5 1/2. I like to use my scoreboard. You don't have to have one to do this. Now the 8 1/2 one, you're going to do that at 4 1/4. So once you've done that, it's just easier with the scoreboard, or you can take a ruler and use the stylus too, just to get that mark in there. Just with some of this thicker paper, it just makes it nice. So when I fold them, I like to do this. I sort of I get these edges together, hold it down, and then take your bone folder. And this one, I finally found it by a suggestion from someone else, and it's not like the regular one, so it doesn't leave a mark on the edge. I really love it. So then that way you have a card that either sets up like this, or it could set up like this. So I have some options here. Now this one, again, we're going to fold, and I'm going to make sure my ends are together. I'm going to hold that and then come back this way, and then I'll burnish that out. with my bone folder, and then you have a card that either sits like this or it sits like this. So on to making the cards. Okay, it's been a couple days later, but I am done. Not that it takes that long to do these. I just couldn't seem to get back in here. I had things that had to be done. But anyway, I ended up making 12 cards all together. I did most of them sympathy, but I did do a couple other ones. So let's just go through them really quick. So with you, now is your time of grief, but I will see you again, and you will rejoice, and no one will take away your joy. John 16:22. And then I just put, this is going to be a sympathy card, so I just ran these off of my computer, as I always do. And then that one is going to sit up like this. Let's see, we have, for I consider that the suffering of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us. Romans 8:18. And I used the same, and this one also sits up. Let's see, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. And that one sits up the same way. Then this one is, blessed are you who weep now, for you shall laugh. Luke 6:21. And then I used the same. I just used the same sympathy throughout. Then let's see, what else did I have here? I had some of them that were, is that all of the, oh, I have one more. So, blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Matthew 5:1. And used the same little message. Now that one sits up long ways like this. And then I did, I changed it up a little bit with some of my stamps. So this is with sympathy, same on the inside. Let's see if I have any more with sympathy. Nope, because then I was like, you know, I want to make some of these something a little different. So this one just says, thanks, sending appreciation from the top, middle, and the bottom of my heart. And that one sits up. And then I have a couple of just a note to say, I'm thinking of you. You're always in my thoughts and prayers. And that one sits up. I have another one that's just a note, says the same thing. And then this one is thinking of you, brings a smile to my face, joy to my heart, and kindness to my life. And then that one sits up this way. Birthday wishes, and this was just something I added from a die cut that I have. It was a little plain up here, so I wanted to add a little something as well as I did with that one. Birthday wishes, wishing you a day filled with peace, relaxation, and joy. And then another birthday wishes, it says the same thing, but as you can see, I have 12 very different cards. And I don't know how it looks from there, but I have all of these 12 cards now, and I'm going to put them in my stash, and they're at the ready. So I hope you enjoyed this. Go grab yourself some papers from Carolyn's and see what you can do with them. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.